Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. NIK NIKAM. Today, we are going to look at applying some basic color corrections to a video clip in Adobe Premiere 2017 CC. This is an actual interview we recorded in our studio using green screen, and as you can see, the first clip shows the green screen behind us, and then we're going to remove the green screen, which is going to be a topic for another video. Today we are going to be focusing at the first introduction to color correction. So let's move this little step beyond. Now we have removed the green screen, we have put a beautiful backdrop, and the next step is to apply the color correction. In order to apply the color correction, when we go to the top menu here, we see Assembly, Editing, Color, Effects, Audio, Graphics, and so on and so forth. We are going to click on Color. When we click on Color, the color palette opens up here. It has a bunch of options. The first one is the basic correction, and below that we have some creative options that are available. Then we can use the curve just as we use in Photoshop and other photo editing softwares. Then we also have color wheel, which can be used, but basically we are going to focus on the basic correction options. This is a first attempt for beginners to get accustomed to the color correction. If you look here on the left hand side, we have lumetric scopes, and when you click on that, a whole bunch of things appear here, and this is the graphic representation of the color distribution throughout the entire video clip. And here is the distribution of the colors, and here we have the color palettes: yellow, red, magenta, blue, green, light green, cyan, and green. And these are all distributed. Basically, you want to see this between 0.2 and 0.8 preferably. As we move the needle, you can see the changes in these graphs. See the changes in the color of the graphs happening. So basically what we'll do is we are going to first, before I go any further, I want to tell you this recording was done using an old camcorder, HDR 160, probably is 5-6 years old, but let's see if we can improve the image quality even from a camcorder such as that. We recorded this video clip using LED lights with 500 kelvins, which is equivalent to daylight. So we have used optimal lighting. Still the image looks kind of dark and dusky after removing the green screen from this point. Whenever we apply the Ultra key, somehow the image quality gets a little muddy, and this is where the color correction will try to replicate the original picture as it was when we started. The first thing I would do is to see if I can increase the, here let me look at all the different options available. Here we have a white Doppler, which we can use just as we use in Lightroom to match the white, and did not make any difference because it was recorded in a daylight setting using 500 Kelvin light bulbs and LED lights. So our white balance is pretty good, but still the facial demarcations are not exactly as we would like it to be. So let's start off with the exposure. See if we can increase the exposure a little bit. It's almost 2.5. So this exposure looks a little better than, if you're not sure, you just click on it and you can see how the exposure changes Then we need to first of all highlight the track we are going to be using. Then let's increase the exposure a little bit. So that looks a little better. All I need is 0.5. You can, the best way to see how the exposure works is to go from one extreme to the other. It's like we almost turned the light off, so we need to turn the light on and dial up the exposure and see where it best meets our eyes as it was in the original setting. So this is how it looked in the original setting in the studio. So I think 1.2 we will leave it here. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is to use the contrast. Contrast will bring out the facial features a little better. Either we can go down or we can go up, and as we go up we can see some difference here in the facial features, and that's pretty good. Then we can either increase the highlights or shadows. You just kind of play with them up or down, and I will just leave it there. Same with the shadows, go down, it looks a little better. Shadows and whites are already white. If you want to make them more white, we don't need to. Everything I just focus on the faces and see if you can get a good delineation of the faces. The actual color of the jackets are exactly as they are in reality, so I can sort of judge as what looks best. Blacks will highlight the hair and the black shirt, as you can see here. Let's see. No, okay, black. Like you look at the, if you look at the black shirt, it becomes real black, and we don't want it because it's going to change the color of the jackets. So I would just leave it where it is, as maybe just a point. So now we have all these things: exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows, whites and blacks. So after we adjust all these things, we can look at and see whether you want the image to look cooler or warmer. That's where the temperature dial comes into play. Again, as I said, just play with it. You want everything to look blue and cool, or you want everything to look hot and red. See, this looks too dramatic. So we don't want that dramatic, we don't want it to look so dramatic. I would just put it here, which looks maybe 10%, and I think it gives a much warmer look. And we will see before and after, and you can judge what is best. Again, the tint. The Sony always makes the pink color stand out. So what we can do is we can move it a little bit towards the green color. See, now it's giving a more natural skin tone of the guest here. By the way, this is me, Dr. NIK NIKAM. I thought I'd plug it in. Okay, now you see, by reducing the pink color and moving a little bit to the green, we have a fairly decent replication of the original picture of how it looked in the studio. Now if you play the video, I have muted the audio, so we just focus on the video. And you see, we can see the difference, and this looks more realistic. Of course, there are problems with the ultra key function, which we are now going to focus upon. Basically, we are trying to replicate the color of the person and color of the dress to as close as possible to the original setup, including some contrast and temperature balances. Now let's compare this with the original green screen video. See what the picture was looking like this before we made the color correction, and now here is the video after the color correction. Which one do you prefer? So this is a very important part of any video production, because just ultra key or using brightness alone is not going to give the original look of the skin tone and the dresses and sharpness. We have to use color correction, and this is the basic part of the color correction, and some of the more advanced features can be used. But if you are just producing a YouTube video, I think this is more than adequate. So let's compare again. This is before color correction, and this is after applying the ultra key, color correction, and now you see the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this has been useful to you, and all these are different spectrums. Again, this is depicted in a different way here. This is supposed to be white and this is supposed to be black. You would like all the colors to be within the range, but the best judge is your visual perception. It is your production, it is your imagination, and you just set it the way you like by dialing these dials from one extreme to the other and see at what point it seems to please you. Thank you so much for watching this, and we will be bringing more videos in terms of applying ultra key and also cropping off the green screen before you apply the ultra key, so that you have less area to work with after applying the ultra key in terms of removing the shadows and also reducing the reflections. Thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will see you next time. Thank you so much for your time.